evaluate the extent of the damage made to the Brazilian company. The government delegation is accused of having encouraged the Ghanaian army's tough intervention.
At least 3 coalition soldiers have been killed in Afghanistan when 2 suicide bombers blew themselves up in the midst of a NATO patrol. And the wife of a shamed high-profile Chinese politician on Thursday appeared in court for allegedly poisoning her British business partner. Grts faces the death penalty if convicted. We have details of these and other stories in this CFI News Roundup.
At least 3 coalition soldiers were killed on Wednesday in Afghanistan when 2 suicide bombers blew themselves up in the midst of a NATO patrol. An Afghan civilian was also killed. The Taliban claimed responsibility for the attack, which occurred in the eastern Kunar province. Since January, 220 NATO troops have been killed. The United Nations reports a 15% rise in casualties over the last year. Many of the victims are women and children. These men are accused by Israel of having smuggled explosives into Lebanon to help Hezbollah. The 10 suspects, all Israeli Arabs, are charged with aiding the enemy in time of war. They will remain in police custody until trial, scheduled to begin at the end of the month. The trial of Gu Kailai, the wife of Bo Xilai, a high-profile member of China's Communist Party, has ended after only 1 day. Ms. Gu was accused of having poisoned a British businessman, Neil Haywood, in November of last year. A court official said that Ms. Gu did not deny the charge. An aide who acted as her accomplice was also tried. The affair caused a scandal and ended Mr. Xilai's political career. The date of the verdict is yet to be announced. Ms. Gu and her aide both face the death penalty. A government panel investigating the violence that followed the 2010 presidential election in Côte d'Ivoire has presented its report. The panel concluded that more than 3,000 people died in the crisis that began in November 2010 and ended in April 2011. Most of the victims, according to the report, were supporters of President Alassane Ouattara. The implication is that former President Laurent Gbagbo had authorized the attacks. President Ouattara reaffirmed his commitment to fight impunity.
We now take our second break.
If you have any questions that you want answered during the holy month of Ramadan, all you have to do is to send us a text on the following numbers: AfriCell on 2020 200, QCell 3030 300, Chromium 6060 600, or on the Gumcell line on 9990909. Your questions answered this Ramadan on GRTS.
Welcome back. The 2012 London Olympic Games is pioneering Olympics for women. It is the first time every national team includes a woman. The US team has even more women than men in London, but it is the 3 Islamic nations that send women for the first time that should be singled out, that is Brunei, Qatar and Saudi Arabia. They have never had any woman represent them in the Olympic before. On Wednesday, Sarah Atta made history by becoming the first Saudi woman to participate in an Olympic athletic competition. After running the 800 meters, Atta spoke to CNN's Becky Anderson about her experience.
The whole time I was running around, just as I came around every curve, there were people roaring, cheering for me, and it was what really pulled me along, and it was the most incredible feeling to have that many people supporting you and to know that that many people are, you know, behind me and what I'm doing and want to support me and push me forward. It was so motivating.
The first female Saudi athlete ever in track and field. This is quite an historic occasion. Do you feel the weight of history on your shoulders?
You know, it's starting after I'm seeing the news buzz after my race. I'm starting to realize it, but I don't think it's really hit me yet. But you know, just coming here, I knew that this was going to be a huge thing.
And how important is it to you that as a Saudi, you are able to compete as a woman?
It was such a huge honor to be asked to come and that we were allowed to participate this year. And I just think that it can be something amazing for the women in Saudi Arabia and that we can really, you know, push through and...
More than symbolic, because there are those who say this is just a nod and a wink and what happens next is perhaps more important.
Well, I think regardless, everything needs that first initial step, and with that first step, then things can follow. So just that we were allowed to come is a huge first step.
So what is your message to the girls back home?
I say to go for it and get involved and live your dreams and, you know, just don't let anyone hold you back.
Interesting. And before we go, a reminder of our headlines. The Ministry of Health has been sensitizing journalists to the prevalence and control of non-communicable diseases in the country. Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry has scaled up efforts at promoting sustainable youth enterprises and self-employment. Guinean troops have allegedly gunned down civilians in the mining town of Sokota, and former fighters have handed power to elected representatives, the first formal bloodless transition in Libya in many decades. You can monitor GRTS Radio live on our website at www.grts.gm. That does it for the news. Thanks for the pleasure of your company. Stay tuned and enjoy GRTS.
Hello.